Welcome, everybody. It wouldn't be a Zoom event without some little technical glitches. So thank you for being here, joining us for our Thursday talk series. So today's talk, when I looked at it, at first, I was reading the topic and I was like, the greatest fear and how to deal with it. I'm like, I have no idea what the greatest fear would be. I guess some people it might be bugs or bees, but then I looked a little bit deeper to the actual talk itself, and it was about death and dying in a spiritual perspective. So Sister Rona is going to kind of walk you through that today, but just wanted to welcome everybody, especially if you are live and in person and at the center. So glad to see people coming back to the center now. And also the ones that are on Zoom and YouTube and Facebook. We are so grateful that y'all are here. You really motivate us to keep going and keep putting these programs on day in and day out. So welcome. We do have a couple of programs that are coming up. We have the Invisible World of Truth. It's a 2-day meditation course, and it is starting this weekend, 10 and 11. So if you would like to register for that and get a little bit of an insight, a deeper insight on what Sister Rona is going to be sharing with you today, feel free to sign up for that. But I won't delay, and I'm going to turn this over to Sister Rona for the spiritual perspective on death and dying.
Hello, everyone. And very nice that you are here and have the courage to be here with this title and explanation. But at the same time, many people have been requesting for this topic, especially since we are coming out of 2 years of pandemic where we have had to face challenges and face this phenomena that is part of life. It is part of our existence, but we tend to ignore as if it will never happen. And so we will explore a little bit more a spiritual perspective. And in essence, the way to deal with fear is to be more knowledgeable. Once you understand certain things or have a clear perspective on things, that lightens the fear. But we will explore a bit more on that later on. But maybe we can start first with a few moments of meditation, or at least some relaxation, and bringing your mind into the right space, into the frame of mind. And so just very simple. Allow the body to be comfortable and relaxed. And just have the conscious aim to shift your attention away from all the many different things of everyday life and everyday activities, and what has been happening today, and what's at home, and what did home, and what was there for food. Just shift the attention away and just as if focus in the present moment, right here, right now. And become aware of the position of the body. Make sure that the back is straight as much as possible. You have to press the elevator, Mita. The elevator. Make sure that the feet are relaxed, the legs, the hands, the shoulders. And become aware of the rhythm of the breathing. Become aware of the heartbeat. And also make sure that you relax the muscles of the face and the jaw. And also become aware that there is one who is experiencing everything. There is one who is experiencing this body and the tension or the relaxation of the body. There is one who is operating this body, the inner being. There is one who is as if sitting behind the eyes, using these eyes as windows, observing whatever is going on in the visible dimension. And that inner being is the real self, the soul. A spiritual being who has come into this body, uses the body, and at some stage will leave. The soul is a being of awareness, like a tiny star, free, timeless, living light. And just try and grasp this understanding of the self as a non-physical being operating this body. Body is like a car, a vehicle. And we are drivers, invisible, beings of consciousness. We are in the body, but we are not bound by the body. We existed before this body took shape, and we will continue to exist after the body perishes. The spiritual being, the soul, timeless, living light. free, innately peaceful, innately innocent, childlike. And just try and grasp that mind that is aware to this invisible and timeless truth of who we are, souls, travelers, living lights. And just hold these thoughts and this image in the mind. Tiny star of conscious living light, an immortal being with innate divine potential. We are drivers, and the body is a vehicle. We get in the vehicle and we can come out of the vehicle. The soul transcends the limitations of the body. Free, timeless, pure light. The art is to be aware of this always and not get trapped in limited consciousness. Not get trapped in distractions of temporary attainments and ego-based attachments. And as we go through the rest of our journey, let us aim to hold this perspective and hold this awareness of the self as a peaceful, imperishable, innately divine living light. Thank you. There are some things in life that in many cultures and in many families and in many environments, there are things that we know are there and that we know are part of life, but we kind of avoid. Avoid talking about it, but we may even avoid thinking about it. Um, Life itself and perspective on life, your aim in life, your purpose of living. These are kind of reflective questions that we do not necessarily ask ourselves when we go about our life, when we're growing up, when we explore, and when we are discovering the possibilities that life offers us. And our cultures, world culture, doesn't necessarily encourage us to think a bit deeper and to ask us ourselves more reflective questions. No, we just grow up with an idea of what it means to be successful. It means you get a good education, you get enough money to support and buy anything and everything that you want. You get into a relationship and maybe start a family and travel a lot maybe and be able to go on holidays and do your hobbies. And there's not necessarily much more beyond that we think. Or maybe do some charity, maybe be active in some social activities, maybe active in some religious activities, and maybe having some hobbies. But much more than that is not what our culture, encourages us to explore. But there are moments for all of us in life that come sooner or later when we are faced with situations which we never thought of before. And many times those situations are a bit like wake-up calls, or they might even shock us. It may be some illness, it may be a loss of job or a relationship that, or a divorce, or even the death of someone near to us, or maybe it happens to us ourselves. And then we are kind of paralyzed or shocked or baffled or immobilized. And we don't have answers, and moreover, we don't have tools to deal with situations like that. But we know that those situations are part and parcel of everyday life. Deep inside, we know, but we just never paid attention. Or we never tried to rationalize or formulate an idea about these things. But what happens is that life and the drama of human life takes charge of your, your experiences, and sometimes forces situations onto you that you, even if you were not prepared, it is there, as if almost like a test, almost like a challenge, or take an exam. as if to see where you are at or to make you aware. Hey, maybe there is something that you need to be looking at that you have not been looking at before. And because we have this attitude of not talking about these things or avoiding these things, they loom over our head as if it is like a, what is it? A cloud, a dark cloud, or a monster. And many of us have fear. Fear for unknown, fear for loss, fear of death. And sometimes these type of fears, insecurities, anxieties, they take so much control over our mind that we don't have control, and that we just, in any kind of, all kinds of situations, maybe, so all of a sudden it just pops up. Now, fear, one way to understand fear is, it is like a signal, a sign that something you need to explore, something that you need to try and understand deeper. Something is there that you haven't addressed. Something is there that you haven't made effort to have a clear understanding of. And so instead of just trying to run away from it, or trying to ignore it, or trying to suppress it, or trying to maybe sometimes even trying to analyze it by overthinking, maybe we can explore what spirituality and what the spiritual knowledge says about all of this. And there is a saying in the East, if you know how to live, if you truly know how to live, you will know how to die. And if you truly know how to die, you will know how to live. And wouldn't that be nice? Now, I have seen people dying. I have worked in geriatrics, in an old age home, and in a clinic with people who were in the last phase of their life. And some people live that phase with such dignity and with such peace and contentment. And they are a joy to be with. And they are a treasure for their, and for the people around them. And they are a source even of wisdom, and a source of you feel respect for them. Whilst other people, they are, what is the popular, they are a nuisance. you just meaning they're all the time complaining, all the time nagging, all the time asking, all the time demanding. Nurses, every time have to go at their bed, doing this, doing that. Right? Whilst others in same conditions, they have a completely different countenance, behavior, conduct. And it doesn't necessarily has to do with age. Actually, to my, at that time, surprise, children and young adults also, but definitely children up until the age of 15, 16, that what I have seen then, they are very gracious about, even if they have an illness that is incurable. They are very accepting of their situation, and they are very many times even playful and mischievous. And they are grateful for every day that they have. And I was surprised because I have seen this in most, if not all, the young children that I have seen in that condition. And I was surprised because I did not see that in the same ratio in adults or elderly people. And so I thought, what is it that these young children have or know that allows them to enjoy every moment, even though it is final phase of life, but they live it with their complete heart and with fullness. Doesn't mean that they don't have moments of sadness. Some don't. Some I really have seen they don't at all. But if some do. But older people are very different in the way they deal with that that final phase of life. And I was so curious, why is that? Why is it that children are as if free? Anyone has any idea? I mean, this is not a textbook kind of lecture that I can just quote what they have written in the textbooks on this topic. This is just, observations, your own thoughts and feelings. But one thing that I saw is older people have such fixed mindsets and fixed ideas, but also fixed dependencies and beliefs and attachments. They are as if, what is it? Conditioned to think about death as something bad. And they are conditioned to think that I am losing. While children, they don't have that. They don't feel necessarily, I am losing, because they haven't settled into this idea of owning or mine. And they do not necessarily rationalize it, but you see it in the way they respond to things. And they just feel free and enjoy whatever is in front of them at that moment. Whilst as we grow older, somehow these different egos, they grow, and different dependencies and belief systems in which we settled in, and these feelings of mine, my people, my things, my achievements, my titles, and the strong feeling of I will lose. And that creates a personality that is melancholic, that is sad, that is maybe confused even, and definitely filled with fear. Now, could we live our lives as children even though we are adults? And go through life with that attitude of every moment is new. Every moment is an extra, is a nice gift. Every day is a gift. And not take things for granted, or not be so on it has to be like this, and it was like this, and it has to continue to be mine, and not get into that mindset of identification and bondage and dependency or ego. To live like children. I do think it is possible. I definitely try for myself. Not childish, but a childlike attitude, so that every day is a day. Every day is a miracle. Every day there are so many miracles. Every day is so valuable. If I live a day in fear, I have lost a whole day of experiences that can be different than fearful. And there is another saying, if fear of death makes you die 1,000 times before you die. So like the experience of fear is already like death. And then you live that every day. It's like a death sentence. Fear is like a death sentence. And if you live with fear, what is the quality of your life? And so every day you have a life. What is the quality of that day? And if you live it with that, what is it? That fear of what might happen in the future, then you're spoiling your present. And why spoil your present with something that will happen in the future? Because in the present, there may be many nice things that are there, many things to appreciate, your own skills, your own interests. Why would we let that, why would we deprive ourselves from that? So these are some of the aspects. Now, every day, sometimes I ask, those who have heard, they can't say, what is this? But those who have heard, they can't say, what is this? You remember? No, Jacqueline doesn't remember, so you can guess. Yeah, some on Zoom remember. What is this? Some will say it is a hand. Some will say it is it is skin. Some will say it is bones and fingers, but it is also a miracle. And this is another miracle. Every finger is a miracle. And there is eyes here. They are miracles too. And a nose is another miracle. And his ears is another miracle. The whole body is a miracle. And this, Mike, is another miracle. A man-made miracle, but I don't know how this thing works. This whole Zoom is another miracle. I don't know how it works, but you are seeing me and you may be even somewhere else on this globe. We can see each other, we can hear each other, we can interact. There's so many miracles around. Every day the sun comes up, it goes down, it rains, cars go by, people smiling, laughing, talking, looking angry, all kinds of things. Cockroaches walking on the pavement. If there is that observer kind of attitude, there's so many things in this world. There's so many miracles. So do you jump out of bed in the morning and say, wow, my eyes work, my hands work, my feet, oh, these toes and these nails, these are other miracles. Children, babies, they have this attitude. Wow, they are kind of this wonder and amazed with many things. Someone has a big nose with a wart. my niece, she was mesmerized by that thing. And she started drawing. Somebody else may be complaining or having some inferiority complex, but she's mesmerized. And she told her mother, wow, a unique nose. She said to her mother. Maybe it sounds a bit exaggerating, but that attitude towards life. of, and then every day is rich. Every day is a gift. But in the same way, we can have another attitude, and that every day is a misery. Every day is a what is it? What is the word? I can't find the right word. Misery is a good word. Every day is miserable. No? So what would help us shift this awareness? Now, first of all, it is good to know and to just share these kinds of things and to reflect on these things. Right? We can look at the same thing in many different ways. Someone may look at these flowers and one say, oh, wow, what nice colors, and get inspired to paint. Another may say, oh, this is $13 at Trader Joe's. and someone else may say, oh, this may be good when they dry to make some herbal tea. And a biologist may look and they say, oh, this kind of Latin name of the family, and it's fake flower, whatever. Same thing, different people will see different things and different experiences. So it is the mindset that decides what you experience. Same situation, but with a different mindset, your experience will be different than somebody else's, than someone else's. Now, in some places on this earth, when someone is born, they get together and cry. A baby is born. Some places, not many places, but some places, they get together and cry. You know why? In their belief system, that is very bad thing happening. Somebody coming into this world to suffer, to see all these things. In their mindset, that is, so they cry. They cry for the baby. They think this is a bad thing. And in our culture, when a baby is born, what we do? We celebrate because we think this is a great thing that is happening. Who's wrong, who's right? It is just a question of perspective. Same situation. In some cultures, when someone dies, they have a celebration. Why? They think it's a good thing that happened. They think someone is going to God or is liberated from this human existence. It's a good thing. In our culture, we don't see it like that. So what we experience is not so much dependent on what is happening, but is dependent upon our perspective and our belief system and our mindset. Now, what is beautiful and what is not beautiful also depends on your belief system. 100 years ago, being fat was beautiful. Now, being fat is not only not beautiful, it is also seen as unhealthy. So, let us take a bit of a closer look to this whole phenomena of birth, living, and end of life. What does spiritual knowledge say about this? And how can we go about it in a more dignified, graceful way? But for that, I'll go to the board. So just permit us a minute of technical shift. Okay. Can everyone see the board? The board is visible.
Yes, we can.
So when we think of ourselves, many times the first image that comes to our mind is the physical image. The body. But spiritual knowledge has told us, and many of you must have heard already, we are not bodily beings. Body is just the vehicle. We are spiritual beings. Beings of light, beings of consciousness, souls who are visiting this physical world, who are visiting, and the body is a vehicle, not just like your car. The driver gets in the car, uses the car, and then gets out of the car. And at some stage, the car may say, time to go. Not working anymore. Finish. Does the end of the car means the end of the driver? No. Driver can go on foot without car or can get in another car. There's no problem there, really. Yeah, the driver can get attached to the car, then it becomes like a problem, and then the driver gets in all kinds of anxiety and fear and confusion and depression if the car breaks down or gets a big scratch or whatever. But car remains car, driver remains driver. And they are two separate entities, even though the driver is in the car, even though the driver is using the car. And some of my friends, they have to drive 20 hours to get to New York City. So 20 hours they're in the car. But do they ever become the car? Did they ever get stuck in the car? No. Well, they can get attached to the car. That's another thing. But car remains car and driver remains driver. And the end of the car is not the end of the driver. There was a time when the driver gets in the car, uses the car, and there's a time when the driver gets out of the car. And there is a time when the car says, enough is enough, finished. This, what is it? This association is over. Now, to have this right attitude makes you freer to use this car. Now, and makes you also free to enjoy the car and to enjoy the surroundings of the car. Whilst if you're all the time worried about one day this might not be there, one day this might not be there, and then maybe think I also stop existing, you cannot enjoy the present. And you cannot use the car maybe for beautiful trips because you're so scared anything might happen to the car or what will happen. So in the same way, more we are free from this identification, from this bondage, free from this idea that I am this body and that I will die. More I'm free, more I can use the body in an elegant way, in a dignified way. I can choose to use the body for actions of peace, for actions of true love, for actions of joy, for actions of cooperations, for actions of solidarity, for actions of enthusiasm and creativity, because I'm not haunted by this fear and this depression or sadness or misery. Oh, what may happen? What will happen? Am I making myself clear? Was if I am living with fear, I can't even use the body properly for as long as it is there. So just the fear itself makes us so limited and limits us from using the body for higher purposes, for more fulfilling purposes. If I'm in, say, if someone is drowning cannot save anybody else. And someone who is drowning is not thinking about how can he bring benefit to someone else. Someone who is drowning cannot even be of any use for himself. Someone who is drowning, can he love? He can't really love. He's busy with other things to survive. What love? He cannot afford these refined emotions. So if we are drowning in fear, we are depriving ourselves of more clean, more higher, pure emotions. So first, it becomes absolutely useful, necessary actually, to cultivate this more broader perspective on life. And not just see here now and what everybody else thinks. The spiritual perspective is that you are a non-physical spiritual being of light who is immortal, imperishable, non-physical soul. And you have come from another dimension, the dimension of souls, the dimension of a family of living lights, the dimension of the Supreme Soul, and that your innate nature is divine. Your innate nature is of peace, is of bliss, is of enthusiasm, is of contentment, is of purity.
Repeat that again. Could you repeat that again? I'm sorry. When you stepped away from the mic, I didn't hear all of it.
I don't remember what. From where it was. We are innately beings who belong to that other dimension, that spiritual dimension, that invisible dimension of awareness and consciousness, the soul world or nirvana. And we exist as spiritual beings who are innately beings of peace, divine in nature, childlike, godlike. We belong to the family of the Supreme Soul, God. And from that dimension, we venture out. Part of the nature of souls is that we like to travel. We like to experience different things. So when we are in the non-physical dimension, the soul world, we are at ease, in peace, calm, at home, with the parents, with the family, loving, pure, blissful. But there is a physical dimension where there are lots of, what is it? Lots of drama going on. Lots of drama going on, lots of possibilities and different things and toys to play with. Different experience, variety of experience. So we are beings who like variety of experiences. So we come here in this physical world. But to experience, you need a body. To see, to touch, to taste, to smell. Now you need eyes and ears and a nose and skin. So the soul comes in a body to experience the world of matter, to experience the world of sound and movement and action and interaction, the world of bodies. But it is an experience, and the experience will end. And at the end of the experience, the soul will leave the body and maybe go in another body, or at the end will go back home to the soul world, to that state of rest and comfort with the family, with the parents, back home. And so this perspective sheds a different light on what is going on here. And so we are not in this physical world to grab hold of some bunch of money and feel good about it. We are here for variety of experiences. Birth is an experience. Living is an experience. You grow up, you get teeth, hair grows, nails grow. These are all different experiences. And then you play with others. They are also small. And then there is gender, and there is skin color, and then there is intelligence and education, cultures. So many things to experience. But then there is also the experience of leaving the body. And then maybe even taking another body again. You go into another body, experience maybe a different gender, a different skin color, a different culture, a different language, different education, different relationships. And at the end of your journey of lots of different variety of experiences, you go home. But in this perspective, the idea is not to get into bondage or to get trapped here or to get stuck here. It is just variety of experiences. But there are rules and regulations in this human drama. And drama, I don't mean necessarily negative. It's a variety play. There are rules in this game of life. And if you break the rules, there are certain consequences, results. And if you live according to the rules, then things cooperate with you. So we need to find out the rules, and more you live in accordance with the laws, the spiritual laws of the drama, more it will cooperate For example, even your car, your normal car, there are certain rules. You don't put ketchup where you put gasoline. For example, that will break down the motor. You don't take it for a swim in the East River. That's not what it is made for. This body also, there are certain things that suits the body, and there's certain things that don't suit the body. So there are some rules and regulations, and we should find out what they are that will enhance the quality of our experience here. But also know that there is a time for everything. There is a start of this human experience. There is time for this human experience, and there is the end for this experience. And that is not against nature. That is not bad. That is not wrong. That is just how it is. And if we learn to see like that, we can live without this burden and this monster of fear. And in meditation, in the practice of meditation, the aim is to experience the self as a soul, to get a taste of that timelessness and that immortality, to awaken that memory in our consciousness of the soul world, and to get back into that identity of soul and those feelings of visiting, playing, driver and the vehicle, and getting out of this what is it, to grab hold of things and to get into bondage and feeling of mine. If you go somewhere visit, say you go on a holiday to Greece, do you start saying that these buildings are mine? This hotel is mine? No, you're visiting. You can still enjoy everything. Don't say it's mine. You're visiting, and you know that you will leave again. That doesn't diminish the experience and the quality of the experience and the joy of what you see and the interactions with the people. It is when you get into these are mine and this is mine, then you don't want to leave. Let us stop, what is the word, torturing ourselves with a limited perspective, and come back to a broader perspective. But we need to nurture this. You need to feed this. You need to remind yourself over and over of this, because this way of looking at life and looking at self is unusual in today's world. So we need to remind each other and ourselves again and again and again of this extra gift. Yeah. Life is the extra gift. Every moment is a gift. Every day is a gift. And why should we deprive ourselves from a moment of peace or a moment of joy or a moment of just curious experience with the burden of fear of something that is anyway inevitable also? Okay. Time, as always, flies by. We are very happy that you all are joining us so regularly for these talks and these sharings. And we're extra happy that people are coming back to the center in person. Okay. Is there anyone with a burning question? Or do you just need to Let it sink in. Okay, then let's close. And like it was announced in the beginning of the talk, this weekend we have a 2 days meditation course, which is in person and online. So you can join either way. You're most welcome. Saturday and Sunday, I think it starts at 11, 1.5 hours. Let's close with some moment of silent reflection. Thank you and have a good day. Someone is asking, how can I get meditation? Just you can go to our website, manhattanmeditationcenter.org. And on the website, if you go to events, you will get the information for the meditation course. Okay.